Hey, what's up guys? Just did the test with the Microtech and I want to compare now with the Kershaw Needs Work, slicing some cardboard. So, here's the cardboard. First I'm going to just take this top piece off. Alright. And I'm just going to try to continuously slice this, somewhat thin pieces. And let me bring the camera down a little bit here so you can see this better. Oh, a little bit more. There we go. No, too much. Fiddling with the camera. Okay. Alright, so Kershaw Needs Work cardboard slicing. None of these knives were resharpened or anything. So same edge from the last test you guys saw. That piece didn't quite make it. There we go. All right. Alright, well that's it for the cardboard I happen to have right this second. Lots of difference in slicing with this knife than it is compared to the Microtech. And actually, you know what, let me grab the Microtech here. I'll give you a side-by-side as I talk about this stuff. Alright, so here's the Select Fire and the Kershaw Needs Work. Alright, these are the knives I'm doing head-to-head testing. Now the first thing I can tell you is, give you a good view of these so you can see, instead of looking at my back of my hand. The Kershaw Needs Work is a better slicer. Absolutely a better slicer, okay? This is not a surprise. It's a thinner blade. Look at the blade stocks here. Hopefully give you a good shot of this. It's literally a thinner knife, so there's less drag. As far as the grinds on here, it shouldn't make a huge difference in this case for this test, but there's no surprise here. Now so far, if you watched all the testing videos, you're thinking, wait a minute, you know, this is a $300 knife. This $30 knife or so, it stabs better and it slices better. So why would I want this over this? Well, we're looking here for edge retention, we're looking for overall comfort, we're looking for quality. There's no question. I'm not trying to prove whether one knife is better than the other. I know this knife is better than this knife, but it's interesting to think as to why I would say that. Why is this better? Because it's more expensive? No. But is it better in every aspect? No, it's not. This is not as good as this cheap knife for stabbing, and it's not as good for slicing. Where it does shine is that this will hold its edge way longer than this one. So if you know how to sharpen your knives and you really don't know which one to get to actually use all the time, you probably want to get this one. As long as you can maintain your edge. This is another example of why it's really, really important to learn how to sharpen your knives. All right, if you're going to get into knives, that is going to be one of the most important things to you, because you can get away with using cheaper knives and still really get the you know, the results that you want from your knife. You don't have to spend $300 to get a great knife. This is still a great knife. They are two completely different beasts. They do both have their pros and cons. Okay, I still like this one more for the overall longevity. We'll see as I start abusing these more. My assumption is that this will break quite easily. This will not. That's my assumption. We will see what happens. I mean, you know, the proof is in the pudding. As I say, you'll see in videos what's better and why. Who knows? Maybe this will break and this will still rock. I have no idea. That's what the whole purpose of testing is. But yes, it's thinner. I know for a fact it will lose its edge longer, or excuse me, it will lose its edge faster. So if I were to continue cutting cardboard, if I had 8,000 feet of cardboard and just continued to slice them, this one would go dull before this. That's not something I need to test. That's something I know for a fact. So, you know, if you're going to be using an EDC knife, which one's better? This one does slice better. If you know how to sharpen your knives, I would still suggest getting a cheaper knife like this. If you want something that's more expensive just because of its name, just because of its looks, you can't get this design for 30 bucks. It's just how it is. You can't get this quality, this blade steel for 30 bucks. So it's going to be a toss-up, but the point here, besides just seeing where these knives can go and how far they can go and what you're getting out of your money, it's also to show the cheap knives aren't always bad. They really, really aren't. I've always been, you know, pro affordable knives that are still decent. You don't want a $5 flea market knife. You know, you don't necessarily want some kind of fancy dagger to do outdoor work. But something like this shouldn't be laughed at. It really shouldn't, because right now it's outperforming this $300 knife. When we get into the really hard use stuff, that's where you're going to see this shine. At least that's my assumption. But we will find out together. So that's it. Just another test in this little series. Perhaps I'll do these head-to-head type things in the future with other knives. Obviously people are liking them. I do this stuff all the time. Before I do all my knife reviews, I cut cardboard, I slice paper, I cut the paracord. I do all this stuff already, I just don't always film it. Some people already complain I make videos too fast. So if I were to do that for every single knife review, I literally have, like, not a million literally, but obviously I'd have a couple more thousand videos. But you guys like it. If I'm already doing it, what's the difference if I turn a camera on or not? But anyway, besides these knives, this is the stuff I'm filming. I am still reviewing other knives. So you will see more knife reviews besides just these. They're just stuff that I did off camera. So Kershaw needs work. Still a great slicer. Still a fantastic stabbing knife. Alright, let's talk quick about hot spots, because I did mention that in here. It's another reason why I do a lot of cardboard cutting, because I get a feel for the knife overall using it harder. It's a very smooth feel overall. It's a little bit chunky. There's no real specific hot spots, but I'm finding that my hand is slipping a little bit off of this because it's not offering as much handle to me compared to the Microtech, which has a you know, abnormally longer handle than it needs. And this knife does offer two different grips. You have this kind of back grip here, and you also have the choke up option. Okay, a couple of the higher end knives do have this. A lot of Spydercos have this. It's just nice to have that option, whether you need to you know, choke up for finer work, or if you're more comfortable back here, depending on what you're doing. This you're stuck with one grip. Okay, not a whole lot of handle here. The finger choil itself is much more comfortable than the Microtech. Talked about this in the Microtech video. It's more of just a half moon. Okay, there's no funky angles or designs there, so that is more comfortable. But I do feel like I'm missing something here. This should probably have a nice fat lanyard on it to give my pinky something to grab. So while I'm cutting, I am finding that it's not as easy as far as my grip. In addition to that, it is starting to dull right around here. And I did this test before. I don't really have fingernails right now, but if you pull your skin back to expose your fingernail very carefully, very slowly, you start to heal, put it up against your nail, and there's really no pressure here. You're lightly dragging your nail across. You'll feel if there's the tiniest little nick in your edge. Okay, now I'm just going to do that right now, just to test it. Now right here, right where my fingernail is, it's not a nick, but I can feel where it's starting to roll. And that is why when I was cutting through cardboard, you might not be able to tell because there's more on the bottom. As I'm doing these cuts, it's not a push cut, okay? What I'm not doing is picking one spot in the blade and then cutting just with that spot. I'm doing a draw cut or a slice, so I'm coming across the whole edge. But the problem is, as I start getting towards the bottom, which might have been off screen, it was stopping. You probably hear it. You can hear that, and then where it just kind of stops for a second, where it's not slicing. But that's the problem, is it's starting to roll a little bit because of the softer steel. So anyway, all knives have pros and cons. It doesn't matter if you have a $20,000 knife. There's a pro and a con. You can take any single knife on this planet and you could say something good or bad about it. That's just how it is. There is no perfect knife. People always ask me, what's the best knife? Whatever you like, whatever works for you. Okay, this knife right here, I know for a fact that there's hundreds, if not thousands of people who own this knife, use it all the time for work or whatever. A lot of them aren't even knife people. Plumbers, electricians, whatever kind of physical job you have. Maybe you went to Walmart, picked up one of these, and you use it. You know, you don't necessarily love knives, it's not your passion or your hobby, but you do use knives like this all the time, and they work for you. That's fine. Other people who are more into the hobby, you're exposed to the higher end stuff, and eventually your curiosity kills you. You know, when you start knife collecting and knife using and stuff like that in the knife community, you'll hear about the $300 knife, and you go, oh my God, $300, I would never buy a $300 knife. You stick around long enough, you're going to own a $300 knife, because curiosity is going to kill you. You're going to say to yourself, I had a $30 knife, I thought it was cool, then I got a $60 knife, and I went, oh my God, what was I missing? Then you get the $100 knife, and you go, does it even get better than this? And it really, your curiosity kills you, because everyone around you is talking about all these amazing stuff, and now you're like dwelling on that. You're like, I have to try this. I have to try a Strider. I have to get a Sebenza. Oh my God, the Rick Hinter XM18, I have to have it. These are like the more common grail knives, you know? And for some of you out there, if you have a $5 knife, you know, maybe even like a Spyderco Tenacious is something you really, really want, but for some reason, you know, you just can't afford it, or you just don't have the availability to it. A lot of you guys are overseas. You have money for knives, you have plenty of money for knives, but there's just nowhere to get them. So you have to rely on people, you know, shipping them to you, or find some kind of website that ships overseas, and that's a huge hassle. And I feel your pain. I don't have that problem, but I really know what that might feel like, and that would be horrible. So I do feel your pain, anyone who is overseas and you're watching these knife videos, or even worse, gun videos, and you just can't have this stuff, or it's just very hard for you to get. But the whole point here is that cheap knives do serve a purpose. They always will. Even that real piece of crap $2 knife, someone out there bought that $2 knife and absolutely loves it. Okay, it's just not a knife person. That's all. But yeah, that's it. That's it for this test. I know a little bit of a ramble at the end, sorry. You know, this is what I do, I ramble. Kershaw needs work. Microtech Select Fire, still going head to head. Starting to dull a little bit. Totally cool. Not the best slicer, you know, in comparison to this knife anyway. Not the best penetrating tip, but I'll tell you, it's strong. It's really strong, and I believe, my honest assumption is that this will be proven as these tests get harder and harder and more demanding on the knife. And I appreciate everyone's concern. When I did the crazy psycho stabbing video with this knife, everyone was cringing like, oh my God, he's gonna stab himself, get some gloves. Let me tell you something, a lot of people recommended chainmail gloves, like medieval times type gloves. I don't have those, and I don't even know where to buy them, but I guarantee if someone sends me chainmail gloves, I will take any knife that I have that you request, and I will stab right through it. It will not make a difference. I will stab and break those chains. That's my assumption. It's not a promise, I'll certainly try it, but a lot of people said that yes, it would certainly help. I don't think it would help with the stabbing. If I were to accidentally slice my hand, of course a chainmail glove is going to really, really help, and I'll probably never cut myself. But as far as stabbing goes, just my feeling, like it would not make a difference and this would stab right through it. It'd make an interesting video. I'll buy a pork roast, put that over the top, and show you go right through it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It's possible. Another thing I want to mention real quick is that sometimes I'm wrong. So don't feel weird about correcting me. Worst thing can happen is maybe I'll get defensive about it, and you'll say no, you're really wrong, and eventually I'll get my head straight and I'll just admit, yeah, I'm wrong, because no one's perfect and I make plenty of mistakes, but I try. That's all you can do. So anyway, that's it for this test. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really love doing this kind of stuff. I'm going to try to film this more often. I've always done this. I always will do this stuff. I mean, if you know anyone who knows me, I ask for milk jugs all the time when they're throwing straps out of work, plastic straps, or throwing out, you know, a bunch of different flyers for people who aren't there anymore, who moved or died or whatever. I take all that stuff. It's all great cutting medium. Seat belts, you know, old clothes. Maybe I'll do more videos of that, cutting old clothes. I have, you know, t-shirts from when I wore 4X shirts, and now I wear a large or an extra large. I got a whole closet full of clothes that don't fit me. Denim jeans, cargo pants, all that material is great to test on. It really gives you an idea of what your knife's capable of. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate your time as always, and I will see you in my next video. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.